Welcome to the Buy Box Experts podcast. We bring to light the unique opportunities brands face in today's e-commerce world.
Hey, and welcome to the Buy Box Experts podcast. This is Eric Stopper. This episode is brought to you by Buy Box Experts. Buy Box Experts takes ambitious brands and we make them unbeatable. We've got a team of consultants. Come and talk to us. There is a million reasons why you might need help on Amazon. Channel control or advertising or listing optimization. We do it all, and we are always trying to find the next new thing, the new tools, the new strategies to help you out so we can help you find the parts of your business that aren't really as bulletproof as you might think. So come and talk to us. Go to our website, buyboxexperts.com. Click on the free analysis button. You'll be connected with me or a member of my team, and we would love to talk to you. Today, I am joined by Hasan Hasmani, the founder and CEO of Underdog Games. Their flagship product is a game called Trekking the National Parks. It's basically like Ticket to Ride, but it's something even more. They've got all these little tokens, and there's a way to play it as you explore the national parks of the United States. It takes about 60 minutes to play. If you're a lover of board games and the outdoors, it's like a perfect mix between those two things. It's the winner of several board game awards and boasts over 1,000 five-star reviews on Amazon. Now, board games are difficult on Amazon, and I think Hasan is going to be able to give it to us straight. So I brought him on to share some of his insights. Hasan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
So before we started here, you were telling me a little bit about your background. Give everybody the rundown, man. Where'd you come from? How'd you get into this whole Amazon mess?
Yeah, cool. So I started off running a business after my junior year of college. So like most people, I started off by Googling how to make money selling online.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up taking the Proven Amazon course by Jim Cockrum. And it was really cool. You know, it put me down a path where I started getting curious about e-commerce, absorbing as much information as I could, joined a lot of Facebook groups, all that. And then, you know, it went from liquidation to online arbitrage to retail arbitrage to eventually I started getting into the board game industry via wholesale. So I started buying from distribution and all that. And it was a lot of like for me as a 22-year-old at the time, it was just a quick way to scale a business. There's few ways to scale a business as fast as wholesale, right? Cash flow is absolutely phenomenal. So as I was growing that up, as I was scaling that business up, I really wanted to eventually have my own brand. I figured long-term, that is the biggest way to grow value, is to have your own brand. You can sell a brand for a much higher multiple than you could a wholesale business. It's very hard to sell a wholesale business. And there's a whole path to how I eventually discovered Trekking National Parks and I started the business. But yeah, that's my background selling Amazon. I think I've sold pretty much every avenue that there is to sell on Amazon. I've tried pretty much everything. But it was a lot of fun. I was supposed to be an accountant full time, but I ended up, I almost got my CPA, but I didn't. And now I do this full time.
And no regrets, huh?
No, it's a lot of fun.
Right on. So I understand that you have been able to carve out Kickstarter, and have you done any of the other crowdfunding platforms to kind of garner the first bit of money for these board games that you're doing?
Well, so as Underdog, we haven't run a Kickstarter before. The story of the Trekking National Parks is a little unique. And I think giving the listener some background on it would help guide the conversation. Mm-hmm. So Charlie Bink is my full-time creative director. He had created the game with his family back in around 2015 or 2014. They ran the first Kickstarter. The parents of Charlie's parents had hiked all of the national parks. At the time, there was only 59. Mm-hmm. And then they wanted to make an activity that allowed people to, that allowed the love of the national parks to continue to the next generation, right? People that grow and bond together with their love of the national parks. So their son was a board game designer at the time, and they created a board game together. When I met Charlie, he had been running the business for a few years, but wanted to grow, and we met and we wanted to create a partnership. So I hired Charlie and I licensed the game Trekking the National Parks. So Trekking the National Parks was on Kickstarter in 2014, but that was before me. And Underdog Games has never done a Kickstarter. What we did with Trekking the National Parks, what I brought to the table, was that we exploded the game through marketing. So that was one of our that was one of my biggest skill points at the time, having all this experience in e-commerce that I did via Amazon, and understanding a lot of the e-commerce landscape. Uh, we actually did not do a Kickstarter. We created a second edition of Trek National Parks. We actually didn't do it through Kickstarter. We did a pre-order through Shopify. We installed a pre-order app on Shopify and just ran Facebook ads to it, right? We sold almost 5,000 copies in 2 months via the Facebook ads on the pre-order app on the Shopify website, and then launched in Q4 on Amazon in October. So that's how Trekking National Parks launched. But now, for various reasons, we are doing a Kickstarter for our new game, Trekking the World, coming up soon.
Trekking the World. Okay, there's a lot to unpack in there. So Charlie's this full-time creative director. He helped develop the game. Why? I mean, was this game the right game to focus your efforts on, or could it have been anything?
Yeah. So there's there is lots to unpack even in that question. So for me, one of the reasons I became obsessed with this, because I love the national parks. I'm a huge hiker. I mentioned that at the time I wasn't really a huge board game person. I was just loved hiking, and I've been in the board game industry. Therefore, I thought it was a perfect fit for the company I would want to start. I was always on the scout for a product. Like I was always looking around for what product could I start my actual brand around and to get out of wholesale. And a board game about national parks just seemed like a perfect fit. And national parks were always also a great fit because there's a huge identity around national parks. So it's easier to a board game is a discovery product. Then you have to think of You have to think of any product you create that's going to be a discovery product as what kind of ads can I create? What kind of Facebook ads can I create? What kind of influencers can I connect with? However you plan on having people discover your product, you have to think about that before. And I had a clear picture in mind. Being someone that loved travel, being someone that loved national parks, I had a clear picture in mind of how to advertise the game. So that made it the perfect game for this avenue.
So specifically, then I kind of want to dig into the particulars of that. What were the best channels for you? You did Facebook ads. You mentioned influencers. You could see this clear vision of how people were going to discover this game. What was the best thing that you did?
Yeah, so actually we ourselves didn't do influencers that much because for us, that wasn't the best discovery avenue. I was just using influencers. For us, it was almost all Facebook ads. It was almost 100% Facebook ads. We did end up ranking on Amazon for board games for family, for a few keywords. And that ranking definitely has helped us, but that wasn't originally the plan. Like we never launched a product with the dependency of ranking on it. We had avenues of getting visibility. We had avenues of particularly Facebook ads of getting discovery. So if we had relied on ranking the product, we'd be in trouble. But the ranking kind of happened in conjunction with us advertising.
So I have brand analytics pulled up on Amazon right now, and tracking the national parks, it has 5 positions for keywords. So like out of the top 2 million keywords, tracking the national parks is 511,99,000th, right? So there are enough people searching for trekking the national parks organically that Amazon has picked it up as quote unquote a significant keyword. So
yeah, I've actually had friends tell me that they had people doing keyword research and our keywords keep coming up because it's actually now, if you look at December, it's even higher up. It's in like, at one point, I think we hit like 12,000.
So you have all this, I mean, these are seemingly organic people. You weren't running this thing with advertisements on Amazon specifically. That wasn't the goal.
We run zero PPC.
Zero PPC for Underdog.
Yeah.
So literally 100% of the sales that you get through Amazon are unpaid.
Yes.
So
Facebook ads is our avenue of pay.
Yeah. So other than Amazon though, no PPC dollars are spent.
No. The things that we spend money on Amazon are deals. So Lightning deals or Black Friday deals or Cyber Monday deals. And there's a very, very specific reason why. It's because those are great discovery avenues, right? So if you view everything as a discovery avenue, then you look at Amazon, and for a lot of people, right? So keyword research, right? There is a difference between a shallow, a specific keyword and shallow depth, and then a very broad keyword and has a lot of listings. So A shallow keyword or a very specific keyword would be something like, the classic example of garlic press. When you search garlic press, you want to find garlic press. So it's a very specific keyword, right? It's very attributable to the thing that you're searching. So if the first listing, you're just comparing different types of garlic presses. In board games, there's better phrases for this, but in board games, people don't already know exactly what they're searching for. They're not specifically searching for an item. So it's a very broad keyword, and there's so many games out there that relying on, keyword PPC for selling is going to be super, super, super difficult.
Right. Like
conversion rate's going to be super low. You're going to pay for a lot of clicks. So as a form of discovery, PPC is terrible in something like board games, right? It's a discovery product. So therefore, if you want to find discovery avenues of selling on Amazon, Lightning deals and Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals and Prime Day deals, those are the best things that Amazon gives you in terms of discovery.
So, I have lots of questions. I guess the main question that I have, though, is there are people who are listening to this who are trying to sell board games, right?
Yeah.
They might be doing the arbitrage thing, or they might have even invented one of their own. I know a specific guy who listens to this podcast who has struggled heavily because his first focus was Amazon. He's like, yeah, we're going to launch this board game on Amazon, and it's going to be great. And it didn't pan out because of the reasons that you just mentioned. So Facebook is on this list, but is there a short list of discovery channels that you can think of right now that everybody should at least consider? I can think of, maybe Facebook, Instagram. I mean, would you view like Snapchat and TikTok as discovery ones? What's kind of your list?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about other forms, card games, right? Not cartoons. What Do You Mean was essentially created because of Instagram followers, right? This one dude had 30 million plus Instagram followers, and if you have that many Instagram followers, then you're good. Like you can just launch a game, right?
Yeah,
you can launch anything,
right?
But you can launch a game. You think about the Oatmeal guys; they launched a game that's a comic. Their avenue of sales were email. They just had millions of email subscribers. If you have millions of email subscribers, once again, you're good. You can launch a game.
Mm-hmm.
If you have same thing with Cyanide and Happiness, right? Those guys launched a game. So all these guys were influencers. The benefit of being an influencer is that you can launch anything. And a lot of times, if the thing that you're launching is authentic to the audience that you're launching it to, it makes sense. It's a good fit for you. It's within, I guess, it's within what people would expect from you, then you're going to sell really well. Other forms of advertising, I mean, that's hard. We 80-20 ruled a lot of advertising, so we were really good at Facebook ads. That's what we focus on. Now we're working on building up a content funnel to hopefully get some emails and communicate with our audience. It's not just always transactional. When you build a brand, a lot of it is also that you actually genuinely want to communicate with your audience, and you're trying to build a connection with the people that are following you. And the way you build a connection is to give something back, right? If you want to create content that's interesting, or you want to be able to provide something for your audience, right? They're real people, and you want to connect with them because it's important, not just for the bottom line, but for long-term for the brand.
Right. So Facebook ads, right, is kind of this black box. A lot of people who are listening probably have ran Facebook ads in the past. I personally, I have to run Facebook ads because I run my own brands. When you do that, the cheapest way, right, is to already have a lookalike audience built that you can compound on, right? You feed that to Facebook, and then they're able to identify other people who are very similar to that. And you and Charlie were not influencers when you were peddling this game, right? You guys didn't have 30,000 followers.
Nope.
So, I mean, you had to have like a bag of money or something to do this Facebook process. Did you have any emails, or did you guys literally start from scratch?
No, we started from scratch. I mean, the company was well funded by me, I used a lot of my resources that I generated from the wholesale business to start Underdog. But actually, in reality, it could have been completely bootstrapped because our first Facebook ad was to a pre-order, right? So we were generating sales right away. That's the beauty of it, right? So we didn't have, it was very not transactional, but it was very call to action advertising right from the start. We don't do a lot of funnels. the thing about Facebook ads is that oftentimes you need one of two things to really succeed in Facebook ad. You need either lifetime value of a customer. So for lifetime value, think something like supplements, right? If people subscribe to a supplement, their first order might be $30, but in their lifetime, they'll buy, $500 worth. Think like
Right.
baby clothes, like, a mom needs baby clothes all the time because babies are growing. So if you can get a mom to buy baby clothes from you, then they'll probably spend a lot more than just that one sale. Or you need average order value. You just need a high margin product. That's why Casper mattresses, they spend so much money on advertising, just because their margins are huge on a mattress. So you need one of those two things. We actually had neither. It's hard to have a lifetime value on a board game unless you can come up with like a line of board games. And it's depending on the price of your board game, it's also usually hard to have a high enough average order value. So yeah, I can't say that. It's hard for me to say that we had like exactly why it worked, but we had a product that really people really connected to, so that helped.
Yeah. This idea of the whole national parks, right? Like people very quickly identify whether they like hiking or not.
Absolutely.
And so it's an easy thesis to get people to buy into.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many touch points typically did it take for somebody first discovering your product to actually purchasing it, right? Like, was it just one Facebook ad and then two Facebook ads and they clicked it and they came onto your website and bought it? What was the attribution like?
So it's really, I don't think we do a good job of figuring that out. Partially because if you run ads, first in the beginning we were running ads to Shopify, but then we start running ads to Amazon. And if you run ads to Amazon, it's just a black hole of data. You don't get any data back from Amazon, so you can't like attribute anything. So
luckily, not anymore. Finally, they launched attribution like 2 months ago or so.
They did. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't really played around with this.
It's junk. As of the date of this recording, we're in March. It is junk. Right now.
That's what I've heard. That's why I haven't really played around.
But it's getting there, right? Like Jeff Bezos will walk into the attribution team and anoint it somehow, right? And it will be great. But yeah, up to this point, it has kind of been a black box.
Right. So I can't say whether. I mean, we did right. So the general flow of Facebook ads is, you run an ad to someone. A lot of times there's funnels involved, and the goal is you run an ad to someone, they engage with you, and then you retarget them, and then you create a lookalike audience. So those are like, in terms of Facebook ads, the two keys are usually retarget, lookalike. So yeah, we totally, we created a video, we got a lot of sales from the video, but then we also would run retargeting and get really good sales from that. And then we create a lookalike and get really good sales from that. If I can't tell you the number of touch points it required, I have no idea. A lot of people bought on the first click, but we didn't design funnels. If there wasn't a specific funnel design, it was just it was more of a rotation of ads.
Yeah, and for those that might have no idea what a funnel is, you can look up what's his name? Help me out, Hasan. Branson.
Richard, yeah, that's not it.
Richard Branson. I'm Brunson, something like that. Russell Brunson.
Russell.
Is that not his last name? We'll figure it out. I'll post it. I'll post it on LinkedIn. So he has this concept where when you first engage with somebody, right, you give them a single offer, and the offer usually has to be pretty compelling. But then you essentially upsell them on the next phase of their transaction. And you can go look up ClickFunnels. It's like a platform, much like Shopify.
It is Russell Brunson.
Russell Brunson, nailed it. Cool. So Russell Brunson has this funnel system that he uses for his websites, for his Facebook ads. And it's pretty compelling, right? It kind of leverages this whole idea of people wanting to get deals. And so long as you're able to spin it, so that they really feel like they're getting value, they can be really successful. But it sounds like you didn't even need to really do that for trekking the national parks. People got it. They understood it. It was valuable to them. Did you sell them at a discount at first? I mean, you were doing pre-orders. You sold them at that $50 rate.
Oh, actually, yeah. So when we were doing a pre-order, because the ship date was like 4 months away, we did it at a 20% discount. But it was, yeah.
That makes sense. So you also mentioned that you did a video. A lot of people that I talk to, they don't know how much they should spend on a video. They get clips from all these different design places. In your opinion, right? To make a really solid Facebook video discovery ad, how much did you spend?
Oh man, you're gonna laugh at this. We did it on our cell phone, so we didn't spend anything.
No,
It
that's,
was,
you know what? I'm not going to laugh at that because this is the way, right? Like, you got to do that. You know, we got
yeah,
these great phones that can do it. So it was just you and Charlie just slapped together.
yeah. It was my kitchen table. So if you want, I can put the link of the video. I can send
Absolutely.
it to you. But yeah, no, it was on my kitchen table. It was a video we filmed. We really went the route of. So like here's probably in terms of Facebook ads, I'm probably going to give you the single most important thing that anyone in the world should focus on, and yet I will bet you that 99% of people still ignore it. The only metric that really matters in Facebook ads is reach to shares, and it is not a metric that you can get inside of the Facebook ad console. It used to be, I think, but it doesn't seem to be anymore. If you have shares on your ad, there's a big caveat there. If the video itself has a really good call to action, because if it doesn't have a call to action and it gets shared, it means nothing because people will just watch the video and they won't do anything. But if your video has a call to action, like, hey, buy this. This is a product that you should buy, and it gets shared, then all your other metrics will always work out. Shares are the most powerful thing about social media. Shares are the most powerful thing in Facebook. So if you're not creating a video that is designed to be shared, then you might get success. That's awesome, but you're not going to be able to take advantage of one of the most powerful things about social media, which is that people will share with each other. So your cost will decrease dramatically. When you create the video, the reason that a cell phone video works really well is because it seems authentic. Now, think about shares. If you really think deeper about what shares are, if I share something on my wall, or if I share something to you, I am saying to another person or to everyone I know that, hey, look at this thing, right? And
Right.
people are not going to say, hey, look at this thing for an ad unless the ad is maybe funny or if the ad has some sort of value. So if you expect people to share your ad that you just like for a product you just created without having any sort of social value to it, I mean, good luck, right? It's not really going to work out that way. So when you create the video, think about what's shareable about your product or what is shareable in general. And create it that way. And that's one of the reasons cell phone videos tend to do really well on something like this is because they are more authentic while you're scrolling down your newsfeed. So you can look at click-through rate, very important. We do look at click-through rate. We look at conversion data. I mean, we look at all these things because they are important, right? Of course, if you're sending to a Shopify, conversion data should be one of the most important number of metrics you look at. But if you're talking about like what is the foundation of which I'm going to decide how to make creatives and I'm going to decide if things are working or not, I really truly believe that reach to shares is the most important one.
Reach to shares. So we're talking about impression.
There's impressions. There's reach. Reach is usually a smaller number than impressions.
And then we want to divide that by shares, or divide shares by reach. Okay.
Yeah, you can either do it like while you're looking at it, you can just do it in your head, or you can just export them and create a little column.
That makes sense. Yeah,
they used to have it when I first started on Facebook. It was there. And that's probably, I'm grateful it was because I thought it was a cool metric and I would look at it. But they removed it. And then it's kind of nice now. It's a kind of hidden trick for us. Right. Because I really remembered that it was there. So I still think about it all the time.
So there's a lot to unpack in everything that you just talked about, right? This whole idea of word of mouth and virality and shareability, right? Those are some of the things that you said. One of the questions that I have is about something specific that you said, that you designed the video to be shared, that you designed it to be shareable.
Yeah.
You spoke to the fact that it was on a cell phone, so it seemed a little bit more organic, but what aspects of a video do you think really make it shareable?
Yeah.
Other than maybe funny, right? Or I guess demographically targeted, what do you think?
Yeah, so those are actually both very on point. So think about the type of game we have. It's a very family-oriented game, and it's about the national parks. If I'm Cartoon Humanity, if I'm Exploding Kittens, the type of videos I'm making are not the same as if I'm making them for trekking the national parks. It's very geared towards a product, right? You have to understand that. You have to understand your audience. For us, we really designed the game to be something that friends and family can play together, kind of a wholesome feel to it. And we created a video that talked about the story, but it also, when if you see the actual video, it's just us panning around the board. Like it's just us showing the board on the kitchen table, and focusing on the national parks part of it, because that's what people cared about. It's a national parks board game, right? So a lot of it is, I wouldn't even say like super purposefully. Like we were just filming a bunch of videos, and then we experimented which ones did really well. But there was an understanding between all of us, and that the video is not going to focus on us. It does not include us at all. It's Charlie talking, but the video itself is the national parks, and we would zoom in on the parks, and we would talk about the story. The story is really cool, right? The family that bonded together creating a board game about national parks. It rings true for a lot of people. And if the thing that we're trying to encourage is, one, love of national parks, and two, bonding with your family / bonding with your friends, then those are the two things we focused on.
I think that's great, man. That's the real way to establish a niche, right? You pick a market that has people who are willing to share things together, and then you speak to their core values, and that becomes shareable. So a little advice just to kind of distill that down for everybody. If your game does not target kind of two aspects of somebody's life, then it's probably not going to do as well, because they don't have a reason to share it. If you only target the core value, right, it's just for their family. But if you target their core value and something that they care about a lot, then you're going to have a lot more success. Is that fair to say, Hasan?
Yeah, probably. There's one caveat to that. There's one exception to that. If your game is exceptionally fun to play, if your game is like the top 1.001% of the world's games to play, then you might win just because of word of mouth. If you can get it, so if it's a type of game that if I can get it to 1,000 people, and then they'll do all the marketing for me, that's awesome. But be honest with yourself, because there's literally like one game of that a year that comes out, right? It's like, gotta be really brutally honest. Like, is this one of those games that breaks all the rules of everything else? Because if you have an exceptional product, usually things tend to work out. It's just the way it is, right? If you have a product that is so unbelievably good that it is inevitable that it's in everyone's hands, then great. But be honest with yourself.
Yeah, I would say the one in recent history for me was probably Exploding Kittens, and you spoke to that. That game is just so fun, right? Those guys really nailed it. Yeah. Same with Unicorn Stable. So that's a blast to play, and those have sold. I think they're at the $1 million point now, or the 1 million copies.
Yeah, probably. I would probably bet they've sold millions of copies.
Well, so Hasan, I know that you've launched now 2 games, right? And you have a third on the way. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, cool. So we went back into like what do we identify with and what we want to create. And I love to travel. It's still one of my biggest passions, and we have trekking the national parks as a travel game. So we wanted to grow that out. We created a world travel board game. It is not just national parks. A lot of them are not national parks. It's just iconic destinations around the world. We truly wanted to create an incredible experience for not just people that love games, but also people that don't play a lot of games. So we worked really hard to make it attainable for anyone to play, and really get that feel like you're actually traveling. So there's like there's beautiful art in the game that we custom designed from artists, and the back of each card has a little information about it. If you have a family, I think it's a great way to spend time with your family. If you have kids, it's not educational. There's not really that much educational about it, except for there's little facts on it. But the cool thing is, it's a map. They'll know where these places are, and the goal is for them to be inspired to learn, right? It's not to teach them, it's to inspire people to learn more about the world. So if you're really excited for that, Kickstarter is coming out tentatively, I think that's the right word, March 17th.
March 17th. Awesome. In the next few weeks, guys, go and visit underdoggames.com and go and get in touch with Hasan and his team. Try to work with them and go and get yourself a copy.
Thank you guys so much.
Hasan, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for listening to the Buy Box Experts podcast. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web, and we'll see you next time.